Okay, so now we're going to talk about systems of quadratic inequalities. This is just like systems of equations, like when you would graph two lines on one graph and then you would shade the overlapping region. So you can see here that the region that is shaded for both graphs is the solution. So we're going to do what we have just done, but now we're going to graph two parabolas on one graph, and then we're going to overlap the shading that's true for both of them. So we're going to start here with y is less than or equal to negative x squared plus 4. So I'm going to go ahead and find the vertex. That's in standard form. So that means I'm going to do negative b. Well, since there's no x term, that means b is 0. So 0 divided by 2 times that a value is negative 1. Well, that's 0. So the x-coordinate of the vertex is 0, which also means that the axis of symmetry is x equals 0. Now to find that y-coordinate, I'm going to plug in 0, and I'm going to see that the y-coordinate is 4. So the vertex is 0, 4, and the axis of symmetry is x equals 0. For standard form, we have to make a table, so I'm going to make that table, and I'm going to put 0, 4 in the important box, pick a couple numbers bigger, and a couple numbers smaller. So at this point, you would type this in your calculator to get your table function, or you can plug each of these x values individually into your equation. When x is negative 2, y is 0. When x is negative 1, y is 3. When x is 1, y is 3. And we'll have 2, 0 also. So again, looking at that y-coordinate, that y column in the table, we have symmetry. So I'm going to sketch this graph on my grid here. Now it's a less than or equals to, so we're going to have a solid line. That's just something to pay attention to. So 0, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, right here. We're going up 0, 4. And then I'm going to have negative 1, 3, and positive 1, 3. Whoops, I forgot to graph my axis of symmetry here. Go ahead and do that. And then negative 2, 0, and 2, 0. Now we already decided that we're going to have a solid line there. So I've got my parabola. I haven't done anything new yet. Now I'm going to look here and I'm going to notice that 0, 0 is something that is available to test. Now I say it's available because it's clearly not on the line of the parabola. It's also clearly inside of the parabola. So if I test 0, 0 for this one right here, I'm going to plug in 0 for y, plug in 0 for x, and I'm going to see that 0 is less than 4. Is that true or false? Am I going to shade where 0, 0 is if it's true? Am I not going to shade where 0, 0 is if it's false? So 0 is less than 4. That's a true statement. So that means I'm going to go ahead and shade inside of the parabola. Now at this point, I want to shade very lightly. Okay, just to know that yes, I'm shading in that parabola. I'm done with that first one. Now I'll go to the second one and we'll find that overlapping shaded area. So I'm now going to look at y is greater than x minus 1 squared minus 4. This is in vertex form, so I can easily identify the vertex to be 1, negative 4. Remember that vertex form, when you look inside those parentheses, I see a minus 1, which means the x-coordinate is going to be positive 1. The axis of symmetry will be x equals 1 because that's the x-coordinate of the vertex. Now I want to make a table of values, and I'm going to take that vertex and put it in the middle. Some numbers that are bigger like 2 and 3, some numbers that are smaller like 0 and negative 1. So filling in my table from either taking these x-coordinates and plugging them into the original equation or using my calculator, I will get negative 1, 0, 0, negative 3, negative 2, negative 3, and 3, 0. Now I'm going to sketch these points on the graph. So 1, negative 4, put that vertex, graph the axis of symmetry here, and then 0, negative 3, and 2, negative 3. And those points are splitting that axis of symmetry nicely. Negative 1, 0, and 3, 0. Now before I connect my points, I want to take notice that this is a greater than sign. So since it's a greater than sign, this is going to be a dotted parabola. So we're going to show on my graph here, dotted line. and then I have to decide where to shade. Now you can see that 0, 0 is also a point here that is clearly not on this red parabola, and it's definitely inside. So if I plug in 0, 0, well, I'm going to get that y is 0. 0 minus 1 squared minus 4. So is 0 bigger than negative 3? Now take a second here and notice this right here. When x was 0, you got negative 3. That's your y-intercept. So that's good. We did this right. So is 0 bigger than negative 3? Is this a true or a false statement? Well, this statement is definitely true. So that means I'm going to shade where 0, 0 was. Well, 0, 0 was inside of the parabola. So now I'm going to shade very lightly there. Hopefully what you've started to see now is that we have this overlapping shaded region where we both have the blue and the purple shading right here, where those two parabolas are overlapping. So once we decide where that solution set is, then you can go ahead and shade that nice and dark so that everyone can see that that is your actual solution.